Ah, did it sprout legs and run away? Ah, there it is.
Unknown to all time, are you? Leave it to an imp to try to fill our minds with all manner of magical gobbledygook. I'll tell you who you are. Source hunters, members of the most esteemed order in Rivellon. Here to find out and grind out every last speck of dark magic in the realm. There, the enigma is solved. What are you? You think I just hope this fancy of yours doesn't interfere with...
Now, that's...
My gods! What is going on here? First I have to shoo away a creeping white tomcat, and now there's a perfect stranger in my bathroom. Get out, will you? These are strange times for magic, aren't they? Source in Sicile, so they say. Oh, it's a horror. But I'm glad you source hunters are here to help us. Be on your way, then. Out! Now, if you please! This room is private. Don't just stand there. What are you still doing here? Begone! Out! Now, if you please! This room is private. Don't just stand there. Go! Away with you! What are you still doing here? Begone!
Oh, what's that gleam?
Out! No!
Another perfect heist. You sneak with the subtlety of a tried-and-true cat burglar.
Why, thanks. I rather do, don't I? Ha! A few more heists and I'll be a fat cat in no time.
No doubt about it. Your easygoing sleight of hand impresses me greatly, and will certainly continue to be highly advantageous to us both.
Let us see if you can do the mighty three. Not
Do I seem like the sort who concerns myself with such things?
You'll be concerned enough when you realize that reward money won't be lining your pockets.
Not even worth the rummaging. Looking good. It's official. The Duke of Ferrol is the worst poet in Rivellon.
In his defense, not much rhymes with murder.
A source hunter? I'd like to report some dark magic. Only tainted hearts could tip as miserably as this lot. Been at the King Crab nearly 10 years now, personally. Seen every character you can imagine, from bums to wizards, passed through these doors for a pint and a place to rest. I think I'm one of the last folks to hear him alive. That awful scream has been ringing in my ears ever since. And with the room where it all happened still under quarantine, we've a constant reminder of exactly what happened. Though that's the question, isn't it? What exactly did happen? We all thought it was Esmeralda who checked into that room, and the Duke that followed her in. I was washing up and nudging the last of the lushes out of the door when a cloaked woman rushed in right past me. I never got a good look at her, damn my eyes, but I figured the way she disappeared that she was visiting one of the lodgers. Lucky for the perpetrators, I was rinsing bottles in the back when the terrible deed took place and saw nothing more. I'm not proud to say I ducked under the counter and damn well stayed there till I heard Ivad fling that door open. But I was paralyzed with fright.
Ah, hello. Hello. I suppose you're here to viciously interrogate me for information I don't have, like our noble Captain Aureus before you. I am the Duke of Ferrol, though I suppose my name is in the mouths of enough ruthless gossipers that you've heard of me by now. It's very tragic news. I won't posture and say that the Chancellor and I were anything near allies, but I truly never wish the man harm. Which one? I've written, Esmeralda, more works of lyrical mastery than I can count. All that letter proves is my devotion to my lady, not any actual intention to do away with Jake.
Sort of concerns myself with such things.
You'll be concerned enough when you realize that reward money won't be lining your pockets.
Source hunters, eh? All right, proper, we're finally getting a hand. Things is chaos. If you've got a favourite sheep, best to fry her up now before she gets thieved in the night like me dear plump Ogget. The finest in me herd. Now that the herd's gone, old Birch is just scratching by like a hen till the next batch of beasties comes through. I recently sold most of the tender loves to a trader heading north. Plenty of business that way these days. Those miners must be preparing for a mighty great feast. Wish I could have a nibble on my dear darlings, all ground and spiced.
Let us see if you can choose the finest green.
Yes. Oh, Ogget's been missing for more than a fortnight. I love that sheep, you know. Was planning to cook her into a fine midwinter night haggis myself. Do tell me if you hear anything about her. I plan on pursuing whoever stole her with my cleaver in hand.
Any takers? Come on, you chickens!
Oh!
May the seven keep you.
Well, hey, wow! I was wondering where that awesome sweaty boot smell was coming from, and here you are. Wow! This is great! I'm Murphy, Jake's dog. Wow, you smell great! Have you been rolling around on dead things all day? That's my favourite hobby too. You know who I miss? Jake. Sometimes he'd just sit there being awesome, and I'd give him this look like, you smell great. And he'd give me this look like, you do too, Murphy. And he was my best friend. I came here so I could smell Jake again. He smelled great. But whatever's buried there doesn't smell like Jake at all. No, it's definitely not Jake. He was awesome. If I ever find out who killed Jake, the most awesome Jake who ever jaked, I'll bark so much. Seriously, so much. You have no idea.
Here lies Jake. Please do not disturb.
Rest in peace, darling.
Where are you, Jake? Are you playing without me?
That shovel has proven worth its weight, it seems.
Indeed. And who knows what manner of riches we'll unearth together with this tried and true treasure digger.
Jake?
Enough to finish this mission with a long vacation in the tropics, gazing side by side at a burgundy horizon. If we're lucky.
Rest in peace, darling.
What trickery is this? That's not Jake.
It's a rotting sheep's corpse. Well, it seems someone snatched Jake's body.
I smell rotten lamb chops. Wow, that dead sheep smells pretty great. I mean, wow. But it's nothing compared to Jake. Seems like some mutt is marking my territory. Someone stole Jake? Jake stole my ball once, but then he threw it far, and I went and I got it. And Jake was awesome. Listen, if you go around town and find someone who you think might have done it, bring me a really stinky something of theirs. And I'll see if I can smell Jake on it. An awesome smell. I couldn't mistake it. Join you? No way. I mean, you smell pretty great. Even better than the dumpster behind the butcher's house. But the town is full of scary stuff like body snatchers and bathtubs. Without my best friend, the most awesome Jake ever, here to protect me, I'd rather stay far away. Just bring those smelly items to me here. Esmeralda? Blah, terrible smell. Like flowers and soap. Not awesome. Ugh, hated her. Aureus is kind of awesome. Evelyn, too. They both have a sweaty, dead thingy smell. Cecil, he's all right, I guess. Mostly he smells like old books, which is neither awesome nor non-awesome. Bring me anything of theirs, and I'll be able to tell you if I can sniff out Jake's smell on them. Jake has the best smell. I'd know it anywhere. Did you find something for me to stick my nose into? Jake was awesome, and she didn't like Jake, so I'm pretty sure she's the worst thing that ever lived. Let me get a whiff. Oh, take this away. It smells like every rich man in town except Jake. No, there's definitely not a hint of Jake here.
Keep you.
Jake, where are you? Are you here, Jake? Jake!
Those dark-robed nuts really ruffle my feathers, sneaking around here at all hours of the night.
So, what's the bad news? More orcs rampaging through the docks? Or have those infernal statues sent another soul flying to his death? This here's my family business. Yes, there's been a Roberts escorting stiffs into the next life since the foundation of Scythiel itself. They don't write epics about morticians, but I'm proud of my work nonetheless. Sad story, that. Though if I'm speaking plainly, the sentimental aspect of it all doesn't make much of an impression on an undertaker. Especially not these days, with so many laid low by the orcs and such like. I just concern myself with giving the remains a respectable exit from life. We set him to rest in the northern graveyard. Perhaps he can finally get a little peace. A sheep? That's a whole heap of nonsense. Don't bother me with such wild tales. suppose you're right. At least if I tell you myself, you'll hear the proper account of things. I buried that blasted sheep, but I swear on my lucky left foot I had nothing to do with that body disappearing. 1 minute it was on my slab, you see. I left the room for just a moment to answer the bell in the front parlour, and when I returned, the body was simply gone. In its place was a sack containing more gold coins than I could even count. The message was clear. Silence is golden. My business has been declining right alongside the rest of our blighted city. And that sack of gold was worth more than I made during one of the good years. I needed cash, and someone needed my silence. I knew I had to bury something or risk being found out. So that night, I stole into the market and made off with Bertia's fattest sheep. It was a bloody waste to stick so much fine meat into the ground to rot, but it had to be done. The next day, the pallbearers retrieved Jake's coffin, sealed to hide the body's terrible wounds, none the wiser that within the casket lay nothing more venerable than a slaughtered beast. Now, you can imagine I've spent more than my share of restless nights wondering who could have wanted that cadaver and for what purpose. I'm not an inch closer to imagining the why, but I've got a few inklings as to the who. Near as I can reckon, there are only 4 people who could have been involved. Mayor Cecil, Captain Aureus, Theleron's apprentice Evelyn, and Esmeralda. Plenty of us shopkeepers entrust the mayor with the spare keys to our businesses, you know. And he's the only person in town with a second copy of the key to the mortuary. He could have used it to sidle in without a peep, if he were so inclined. Aureus himself paid me a visit the night the body was delivered. Came rapping at my door in the frosty morning before the sun had even started peeping, and told me to tell him, and only him, if I noticed anything strange or suspicious about the remains. Can't see why he'd bothered to go through all that trouble, unless he knew something the rest of us don't. I never saw a widow less distraught at the death of her husband, and I've seen hundreds pass through my parlour. It was she who rang my bell just before the body was snatched, lured me outside claiming she needed air, before discussing the funeral arrangements. Some accomplice could have sneaked in and grabbed the remains while I was comforting the oh-so-overcome Esmeralda. I know it sounds strange suspecting the doctor's apprentice of something so ghoulish as this, but there's few in this city could manage to transport a corpse without raising eyebrows. It was she who delivered Jake's body from the inn to the mortuary, and there was something about her that night, some kind of excitement. Seemed she could barely contain her thoughts, that there was something thrilling about to happen. I can't quite settle it in my mind how a young medical professional would have such a strange reaction to an occasion such as that. And this may or may not have anything to do with the whole rigmarole. But her master, Dr. Theleron, bought an old shack of mine, one overtaken by undead, for an exorbitant... That gold's the only good thing to come out of this blasted affair, and I certainly plan on making some use of it. You know, I reckon Bertia really didn't get a fair shake in all this, did she? Here, take the money and give it to her. Times are hard enough as they are. So, what's the bad news? More orcs rampaging through the docks? Or have those infernal statues sent another soul flying to his death?
If only the popular girls from the Source Academy could see how edgy and dangerous you've become. If only the popular girls from the Source Academy could see how edgy and dangerous you've become. If only the popular girls from the Source Academy could see how edgy and dangerous you've become. The girls from the Source Academy could see how edgy and dangerous you've become.
Fortune!